This is Unmasked live at Skankfest with the one and only Ari Shaffir.
Thank you. Thank you. I've never sat down and used a mic stand. I feel like an acoustic guitar player.
I got to tell you, you're already a legend at Skankfest this weekend. I don't know how you unmasked a man who has done the things in public that you've done.
I don't know, man. It looked like the right thing to do, and I fucking popped into my head, and I was like, you may as well just do it.
So, in terms of comedy, right?
Yeah.
Why is someone naked on stage doing a roast, then urinating into a glass, and then throwing that glass of urine on a person with open wounds? Is that improv or a written bit?
Yeah, I should have said afterwards, like, you can't write this stuff, you guys. Yeah, that was improv. I couldn't tell what to do. I was thinking of throwing it into the crowd. Maybe.
Oh, now you're offended.
Yeah. I could tell the people in the front row were thinking it too. So when I threw it in Zach, people were like, "Okay, there's relief. All right, cool."
But you know that kind of stuff, and you do this kind of thing every once in a while. But it's very different from your material.
Yeah, it's written.
Yeah. Your written material
is about stuff,
very thoughtful and interesting. And then, as a matter of fact, the last time I was here at Creek in the Cave, it was a birthday party for Big J.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, you were there for that.
Do you remember what you gave him?
Yeah, I got him a birthday. I got him Avenged Sevenfold's new CD. A pre-release. I don't even think he took it home.
Big J opened a box, an airlocked box.
Airtight.
Airtight. Of your feces that probably was in there for at least 24 hours, I'm guessing.
It was, let me think, at most 24 hours. I might have shit in it that morning.
Yeah.
The hard part was finding a box that was airtight.
Yeah.
So I could walk around. I was also praying that I got mugged on the subway and someone stole it from me.
There are people in Queens that's their 9/11. And people were scrambling exactly the same way as 9/11.
The best that it was there for an hour and 45 minutes. Everyone's just sitting around it. And I'm like, I should know the name of the company that makes that airtight box. It works. But I shit right into it and then close it. So when it opened up, the smell, I mean, it was from the garage and then into the bar people were leaving.
It was unbelievable.
It was like when Scooby-Doo yells into a bottle and then hits the fucking cork on it, and then when he opens it up, it comes out full force. That was great.
And the room scrambled like somebody just dropped water on a grease pan. You know, you just saw people flying into walls. Again, how do I do an unmasked with a person who's, well, I mean, you're kind of open.
I'm pretty open, yeah. In terms of most people that I know, I'm pretty like, whatever.
But I will say this, and this has been a crazy, wild year for you, an interesting year, but with your background, the way you grew up, you're Orthodox Jew.
Yeah.
Do you know anyone else that's gone from comedy who's...
There's one, like, agent or manager who was in my yeshiva in Israel. He still keeps Shabbos.
Yeah.
No, I don't know anyone.
Yeah. I mean, it's really different.
Yeah.
It's a different move.
Yeah.
Now, were you aware... when you were a kid that you liked comedy? Yeah,
I used to like watching it and stuff, but we didn't have cable, so I watched like some Carson stuff when that would come on. I watched Live from the Laugh Factory on Saturday nights on Fox, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was cool. I saw some people on there, like The Amazing Jonathan. I thought was real funny. Yeah, I don't know. I just I was like, this is all fucking great.
Yeah.
You know?
But it didn't dawn on you that could be a path for you.
No way.
Yeah.
My friend Ami Butler used to say, like, you should try to do comedy. And then I never did until college. I did it once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you grew up that way with your religion, you were into it for a long time, right?
Into what, the religion?
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. So after high school, we went, it's a general tract as you go to Israel, study in a seminary. You know what a yeshiva is?
No.
Okay, seminary. It's just like studying all day, all night, Torah. So you get up at, I don't know, 7, You study for about 45 minutes, then have breakfast. Then prayers, then have breakfast. Take a 30-minute break, then study till 1. Go get lunch. Play basketball for an hour. Study till like 5 or 6 p.m. Pray. More study till about 10. Get some dinner. Study till about midnight. Hit the bed. And then, just repeat that every day.
Yeah, that's pretty much the same way Louis C.K. grew up, I think, when you think about it. But does that kind of work for you, the fact that you have that kind of intensive background that kind of drive?
Because, I don't know. It helped. I don't know. I was never a good student before that. And then when I was there was no grades, so it was for the first time I could be like, if I just sit here, then I'm doing well. And all the rabbis would be like, hey, good job. And it was like, oh, wow, look at me succeeding.
Doing it.
Yeah, I'm doing it. Yeah, there were no tests. They were just like, yeah, you learned. You did it. Congrats.
But one thing I noticed, because I see people in the park, the Orthodox Jews will get together and they'll kind of argue religion. They'll go over pieces of the religion, which is unlike a lot of other religions. It's not open to, hey, let's
real
debate
vibrant.
this.
Judaism is real vibrant in terms of like you have to like analyze it. That stuff helped me.
Yeah.
The logical progression of the Talmud, where it's like you'll have something like I'm trying to think. Okay, if I kill you, your wife, you're not married, are you?
No.
Okay.
No. I'll just say no.
Yeah. But your wife, I would have to pay her for the loss of income to the household.
Right.
So if you're a doctor, I have to pay her like $100 a week. And if you're a garbage man, I have to pay her like $10 a week. And then everybody argues, like, why? Are you putting like a value on human life?
Yeah.
And then they end up arguing, like, and they come to the place like, no, it's just expected like lifestyle that you have to like replicate. That kind of logic-based arguments. That's all the Talmud is. So I use that in my comedy.
Right,
for sure.
and the fact that you kind of want to be a contrarian, you want to kind of go over this stuff and go, how is this fair? Which is really comedy. You know?
Yeah. I like using their shit against them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like taking all the stuff I know and then like, so I had like a bit once about like, if someone's coming in Judaism, the rule is if someone's coming to kill you, you're allowed to defend yourself up to the point of killing them in order to defend yourself and your money. So then I applied that to abortion, where it costs a lot of money to raise a child, so they're coming to steal from you. So the Torah would say, kill that thing in order to protect your money. And they're like, that's not how, we don't mean that. And I'm like, well, I don't know, it's not that clear. I know too much. That's what my dad says. Like, you're wrong what you're saying. It's evil.
So when you left that, there was a moment for you? There was kind of this moment?
Yeah. Yeah, it was hard. I mean, that's my whole upbringing, And I got to the place where I thought about my belief system, and it just wasn't in me, Like, I don't know how, like, I don't know. They talk about a leap of faith that you have to have, but you have to have a reason to leap. So that means you have to already have faith in order to go for it. Remember Indiana Jones when he had to walk on that invisible bridge?
Yeah.
He had to have a reason to think it would be there. Otherwise, his dad researched it. Otherwise, there's no reason to fucking take that step. So that leap of faith, it just doesn't make sense to me logically, where it's like you have to have already been told this is it and then go for it. So I looked inside, and it was just like after years and years of doing it, I was like, I don't think I believe in this. Not like actively. It was just like, it's just not in me. And I struggled with it for a while. I was like, what would God say if I went up there and stopped doing all this stuff? I think he'd be okay with it. I think he'd be like, yeah, no, I mean, God, I didn't believe in you. And he'd be like, oh, well, yeah, then it's not your fault.
Right.
Yeah, you didn't believe. If you believed and didn't do it, that's a problem. But
so was there a light bulb moment for you?
Yeah. So it was in my yeshiva. So my roommate was out of town. He was just with somebody else on Shabbos. You're not allowed to turn on and off lights on the Sabbath because it's electricity. There's a spark, and that's like building a fire. And fire is one of the 7 types of work that you're not allowed to do. You also can't dig a ditch because ditch digger was one thing. So if you're dragging like a chair, like, oh no, you're fucking up. You're digging a ditch by accident. So that's wrong. You can't write because like a scribe was a type of job. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, so you can't use electricity. So I had this light over my bed, and I could take a big cup that you use for like hand washing and like put it on top of the light and then go to sleep, drown it out, but it would still be on. So I can hear Mark Norman outside, but Hey! You can tell when he's extra fake. Yeah. You can tell he gets louder. That's when you know he doesn't like you. Hey! It's like, all right, Norman. So I tried to put that cup on there. It wouldn't stay. I kept thinking of falling off. And I was like, I should just turn the light off. But my window was right by the entrance to the dormitories. And I'm like, someone's going to see me on Friday night with the light go off. It's all, Orthodox Jews in there, so it's like the light wouldn't go off unless somebody fucked up. So I was like, all right, I guess I won't turn it off. And I just suffered through it and whatever, slept with the light on. But, I mean, for a couple years after that, I kept thinking, why would I want to do it when I knew the commandment was don't do this? Then it hit me I didn't believe in the person or the being telling me not to do it. I compare it, this is ridiculous, but I compare it to I believe in my father, that he's a real being, and he wouldn't want me to masturbate in front of him. So if he's there, I'm not going to be I don't know if you're real, and just start jerking off. There's no part of me that doesn't believe my father's right there, so I just wouldn't do it. But the light thing on and off, if God was physically there, it's saying, obviously you don't do that. I'm like, yeah, I won't, for sure. But that belief wasn't there, so I was like, I should just do it. And I didn't even do it. But it got me thinking.
Right.
And then I was like, I don't think I believe in this.
Yeah.
And then it was well, let's just stop then. Let's not half-ass it. It's either all in or all out. So I went to Taco Bell.
Now, how did your people react to that, though? Your family and your friends?
My friends I told first. My family I had to tell afterwards. My friends I told first. My friend David Mark, he kept trying to talk me into staying. He was like, you believe. And I'm like, I don't, man. He goes, then go throw the Torah on the ground. You're not allowed to do that. You have to fast for 7 years. That's definitely wrong. Yeah, only eating it at night? No, that's for sure wrong. But you have to fast for a while if you see a Torah on the ground. And he was like, go throw it on the ground. I'm like, it's so I'm not going to do that. What if I get caught?
Yeah.
I'm in so much trouble. It's a hate crime. I'm not going to do that to prove to you that I don't believe in this. But if you want me to say fuck God, I'll do that. And he's like, shh, no, don't say that. I was like, all right. Yeah, they all kept trying to talk me into it. They're like, well, how did the world work then? If there's no God, then how's the world here? I'm like, I don't know. And I was like, how's the telephone work? I can't explain that, but it's not God. I just can't explain it. I'm just not that smart.
But I think it's kind of interesting, too, man, that it's kind of coming out, right? I mean, it's almost,
for sure.
That same thing of keeping this secret
yeah.
of who you really are.
No, for sure it was. I did we did themed storytelling shows, and one of them was coming out of the closet stories for Gay Pride Week, and I was like, I'll tell that one about having to tell my parents. My father, a Holocaust survivor who's Orthodox, and I didn't want to go to Yeshiva University anymore. It was a waste of money and time. It's a split curriculum. Morning, you go till 1 p.m. It's 3 credits for 4 different classes, 3 credits total. Talmud, Torah, all that stuff. And I'm like, this is pointless. I'm not doing this anymore. So I should switch to University of Maryland, a state school. So I had to tell them, I want to switch, and here's why. Man, my dad did not enjoy it. He was like, you don't believe in God? I was like, yeah, nah. Yeah, he was like, even a dog believes in God. He was like, you're lower than a dog. Yeah, I was like, all right, well, thanks for making this easy. Yeah, he wasn't happy with it. My mom was more upset that I'd be missing out on the cultural stuff. She wasn't raised Orthodox. She became it for my father. But still, they're both like, what is this? What are you doing? And I just got out. I was still a virgin, 21. I think that's when I did it. Nerd. Yeah.
I don't think that's a nerd. But, that thing that you did, I mean, you think about that chain that you broke that goes all the way back. I mean, people were running from Cossacks, running from Nazis, keeping this, this religion alive, and it gets to you, and you're like, I'd rather go to Taco Bell.
Yeah. That part's a little weird. I don't feel great about that. Just because there is some sort of chain and some sort of link. When I hear stories about Israel, my attention perks up a little bit. I don't know why. I'm just linked to it. And I sort of have kind of betrayed that history. But It just wasn't in me. So yeah, I mean, it was a huge altering of my life path after that.
Well, that's when you start to think about comedy, I guess, right?
Yeah. Yeah, after that.
I mean, you talk
but really,
about,
it was like the world is my oyster at that point. Like anything is possible.
Yeah, like you were like Forrest Gump walking out into the street.
Yeah.
Everything's new and fresh.
I didn't think about comedy after that. It was really just living as a not Orthodox Jewish person now. And like all that meant. Getting my first girlfriend was non-Jew, super religious Christian. She wouldn't introduce me to her family because she was embarrassed. And I was like, "You're embarrassed about me?"
Yeah.
No, that's not how it works. I'm embarrassed about you.
Yeah.
Yeah, all that, meeting friends, meeting secular friends. We didn't have any non-Jewish friends. The Orthodox Jewish community, it's just tight. It's not that we didn't like think you guys had any value, but your value was less than ours.
Right. But I mean, even in Brooklyn, they have their own kind of security and their own taxi service.
That's the Crown Heights riots were over. Was when a Jewish ambulance picked up somebody hit a black little girl and a Jewish little girl, and the Jewish ambulance service picked up the Jewish little girl and left the black girl, and she died. I stand by it. I think it was the right move. But yeah.
Hey, don't act like that never happened down south either.
Yeah. What was the question?
Well, just this thing now that you're out. It
really was like coming out of the closet, man.
Yeah.
And then it really was like, okay, my friends almost all abandoned me. I had a couple friends that were like, okay, we're still cool. One of them had actually left his wife for another woman in the Orthodox Jewish community, so he was ostracized, so he sort of got it.
Yeah.
But most of them are like, what are we going to, even if the people that did stay with me, it's like, what are we going to do? We can't eat anywhere. The things we want to talk about are not the same.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like a completely different lifestyle. A little bit of like sports talk overlapped. And then the rest was just like, it's like when your friends have kids. And you're like, we'll still be friends. And then it's like, yeah, but I'm not.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it's like, I don't know. All right. Oh, it's so cute what your kid did. Smell my finger.
Right.
You know? So yeah, I just drifted apart from all of them and then had a new life.
So how did you find yourself in L.A.? How did that finally take place?
I finished college, University of Maryland, graduated, started looking for a job. My friend, who I went to high school with, and he went to Maryland with me, he had moved with his family to Miami, and he was like, let's go to California. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. He wanted to be a screenwriter. And I was like, I don't know. And I looked for I couldn't find any good jobs, something where I could put my stamp on it. You know, what you do.
Yeah.
If you replace you with somebody else, it might get done as well. Probably not, but it might get done as well. But like, it wouldn't be done the same. You know, when I was a file clerk in a law firm, you could replace me with somebody else. It gets done exactly the same. I just wanted a job where it wouldn't be exactly the same. So I was close on a job with not the Health Network, Discovery Channel, working on their website. That would have been like a little interesting. Didn't get it. And he kept bothering me, like, come on, let's go to California. And I was eventually like, fuck it, let's do that. I'll find a job out there. I had this dream of being a screenwriter and a comic, and I wouldn't tell anybody. I took some classes on screenwriting so I could tell them that, but I didn't feel like I had a right to tell anybody that I wanted to be a stand-up comedian. I did it that one time in Northern Virginia, and then that was it. So I just kind of kept that part secret, and then we went to L.A. and found a place, realized I had money that was going to run out real soon, so I had to like start being real, like living poor. And then I went to open mic, and then I went to another one, and then the screenwriting never happened.
Never even attempted it.
I mean, I wrote like 5 pages. People would ask me for a while, like, don't you do screenwriting? I was like, yeah. And then after 10 years, I was like, no, I haven't done it. I would love to say I could do it, but 10 years have passed. I've written 5 pages, and it was 9.8 years ago. So, no, I don't do that. Yeah, I could probably punch up some stuff, but that's it. But yeah, I'm a comic, and just fell in love with it. It was just great. It was great. Making no money. It was fucking great, man.
I always think that it's like an insane thing to go to L.A. or New York before you work your shit out, like out in the sticks. To me,
it's a mistake.
Yeah.
It's a mistake. I had too many friends like fail out because it was too disconcerting. I didn't do open mics here, so I don't know how it was here. But L.A., it's like you go up a lot. The Crooked Bar, the fucking Kindness to Strangers place. There are all these just shitty open mics. The Novel Cafe, where it's like in the middle, you get drowned out by somebody fucking making a gelato. What are those things they make in coffee shops? Yeah, cappuccino machines. Yeah, and you have to like kind of wait. There was one place, the Novel Cafe, where they had a golden tee golf game, and if no one was playing it, you could, and you weren't doing well, you could hear crickets from the golf game. It was so like an unintentional heckle. Like, God damn it! And if you would do okay, you would drown them out, but generally you wouldn't do okay. I don't know what you kept going you back for more. It was just like you do these places where there was like 6 people in the room. I mean, this now is amazing. Be 6 people in the room, only comics. 3 of them are writing their jokes, not paying attention. 1's asleep, and 2 are kind of half listening. And you're supposed to like get into that environment and go for it. And it's like, oh, so many of my friends failed out.
And then you can go to the Improv or the Comedy Store and see people that are light years
ahead of you.
Like there's no way to catch.
Yeah, well, you see people even now that I think are garbage. Back then, I was like, wow, you're so good. I remember seeing people pull in when I was waiting in line to the open mic at the Comedy Store. Seeing people pull into the parking lot. I'm like, oh, that's a regular.
Right.
That's a professional comedian. Yeah, at least the Comedy Store, they were cool about letting comics sit in the back when it was not sold-out shows, which was every show back then. And you could just sit and watch like people that were way better than you. And like a lot of people had one thing that was like the best that I saw. You know, Paul Mooney had this like power on stage I never saw anybody have. Freddie Soto was like real natural, and Don Barris would like scream at the crowd in a way that like get them like laughing. He called like old ladies like filthy whores, you know, but in a way that would get them laughing. And it's like, wow, and just like certain people had one thing that was better than anybody else I've ever seen. As you could like take pieces and learn from that. It was just such a great learning ground, and that's why she set it up that way. Like sit here and watch people that are light years better than you.
Yeah. And that does chase out, like you said, a certain amount of people are like, this is fucking impossible.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
There's unrealistic. They talk about hitting a baseball and how fast pitchers hit and the amount of time it takes you to think if it's a fastball or a curve or anything like that. And then the amount of time, once you decide what it is, to then swing, it takes a quarter second to swing around. And like it doesn't add up. Like it's impossible to ever hit a pitch. And yet some people manage to do it. I don't know how you would get by in comedy. I don't understand.
Yeah, it's amazing, and it is very similar to like hitting a baseball because they can slow time down. They can see that baseball in a way you and I can't, and then you can see that in the best comics.
It is like that. Yeah. When I'm on stage and I hear somebody starting to go, I'm like, that guy's going to heckle soon, and you're still doing your jokes, but you're like, okay, get ready for that. Okay, this person I can do crowd work on if that guy shuts the fuck up for another second. And you're just trying to like compose all that at once, and you're almost like apart from yourself. You ever see the movie Shine?
Yeah.
Where the guy's playing piano, but it's all silent when he's really nailing it, and you just hear the thud of the keys, but not what's playing because he's in the fucking zone. That's what it feels like when you're doing real well.
And that also, I mean, that is like when we were sitting around talking about God earlier and how does that happen. There's something that is as mysterious as anything else in creativity. Just creativity itself, that one moment an idea comes in and you try to ride that idea, but it very rarely feels like you've created it in a logical way. You know, if you have a really great line, you probably can't fucking think that fast most of the time.
It's kind of luck. I mean, there's good joke writers who know how to like finesse it, but it's almost like what put the idea in your head. Nietzsche was like, you can't make yourself have a thought because just telling yourself, all right, I'm going to think about I don't know, the fucking bridge over there.
Yeah.
But like something told me to think of the bridge in there. It's not. You can't make yourself have the thought. The thought was already there, and then you like, mind it. So I honestly don't know how anyone would write a joke. It just comes to you.
Yeah, and it comes in fast, and then you have to decide to even use the correct timing.
Yeah, and then you can tweak it or not.
Yeah.
I dropped a hard N-bomb. I was hosting the open mic at the Comedy Store on Monday. It was like the first time in a long time I had done it, and I was there. So I was like, fuck it. Let me see all the fucking open micers and the employees. And I was starting it, and I was trying to think of another derogatory term that would fit, and I couldn't think of one. And I'm like, all right, we're going with the end. And as I was thinking, I was like, come on, go, kike won't work. But my face is already like talking words, like the setup. So I'm like, get something. And it was Gay Pride Week, so I'm not going to do the F,
Yeah, right.
And then I'm like, oh, hey, there's one black person here that might work. Let's just go for it. I think he's on my side. Yeah, and I went for it. It was okay. And I was like, hey, crowd, thank you for going with me on that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Hopefully no one's videotaping.
Yeah, you gotta take a chance sometimes. You gotta just take chance. You just gotta do the best research you've done and be
Right.
like, I think this will work based on everything I know.
Well, I'm going to refer to it from now on as sometime you just got to throw the piss. From this point on,
That's exactly what it
you
is.
got to throw the piss.
You get the thought.
I think it's going to work.
Amico set up the situation. It seemed right.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta throw the piss. Sometimes I used to do a bit about how Jews are the original, whatever, the original niggers, and some really jovial fat black guy was like on my side the whole time. I was hosting back then. This was 10 years ago maybe, and he was cool. And he was like, "Oh no, man, it's nigga. You gotta say nigga." I was like, "Oh, so if I say nigga, it's okay?" He goes, "Oh yeah, totally." I'm like, "All right, so these filthy niggas that are dating our white women." These goddamn niggas are ruining the country, and he just fucking doubled over. Because you're like, we're on the same side.
And that's the game that you're playing.
The game.
That's the tightrope of does this work? And you see all the time.
Sam Tripoli had a thing where he used to hump a lady in the front row if it's crowded. I think in Tampa he told me this, where somebody from the back, like of the balcony, was like, if you had done that to me, I would have called the cops. He's like, yeah, I wouldn't have done it to you. For 30 minutes, I was looking at who would most likely take it, and I did it to them.
Yeah.
I'm smart about this. I know what I'm doing.
So I want to lock into this. You got a job at the Comedy Store, right?
Yeah.
Which is like, to me, like some kind of movie script. I mean, you know what I mean? They do that thing of, here comes this kid, he's coming to town.
Yeah.
Is he going to get on stage? No, but he will work there.
Yeah, Mitzi had set it up. It's weird because they say it's similar to the Comedy Cellar. I'm sorry, this is all about stand up, but this is like my life kind of, so it's all I really think about.
This is great.
But the Comedy Cellar's got the best comics in New York, pretty much. Got the pop-ins like Louis C.K. popping all the time, stuff like that. The Stand probably has a better like lineup day to day. But anyway, they used to say before the Stand was around, the Cellar is most like the Store, and it is, except the Store develops comics as well. So they have a 0-year comic, and she'll be like, hey, that was awful, but I saw something in you. Why don't you work the booth, sell tickets, and then watch comics? Just fucking watch. Yakov Smirnoff used to work as a bartender. She would employ them to be like, hey, watch these people grow, and then also be part of this place. Talk with them. And so that's what I did. I started on the phones. I didn't even know the place existed. I was up looking for the Laugh Factory because that Live from the Laugh Factory show.
Oh, yeah.
And I was driving down Sunset, and I was like, "Oh, here's another one. I'll apply there too." And the Laugh Factory's like, "We don't hire comedians. You guys are awful employees. Why do we hire you?" So I went back to the other place, and the guy was like, "Just bug the guy. He'll hire you eventually." So I called, and he's like, "Fucking fine. Can you work Tuesday? Like somebody just quit." And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Come Tuesday." And then I answered the phones. That's where I started, giving out directions and telling Mitzi with the lineups if she called or transferring her calls. Ah, man, those were such good times. Ralphie pulled me aside once. I was like a year in. He was like in the main room. I was walking through, going to like deliver something. And he was like, "How long have you been doing comedy?" I was like, "A year." He goes, "Oh, that's when it's just fun." And I was like, "What are you talking about? I can't afford to eat today." But he's like, "You don't get it, man. I get it now. It is just fun. It's just like you try to write a joke, and when you get one, you're like, fuck yeah, I did it. That worked." So, or a callback. Or, you just figure out these things. It's just like, man, it's like degenerates all in school together, just trying to figure out this game. And then you see your friends that are good and the ones that are terrible. You try to like make friends with the good ones that have potential. And so many of them failed out. But you sit there. You talk to comedians on the phone. Eventually, I asked her, I'm like, "Hey, can you watch me and give me some advice?" She's like, "Oh, okay." And then she was like, "You're too hyper." Because I was doing open mics only, and I was like trying to like, it's all comedians, so you had to like do something to get them on your side. So open mics have the darkest jokes in the world. It's all about child rape and fucking murder and shit like that. Because you can't do a joke about lollipops. Nobody gives a fuck. And
you want to be edgy when you're a kid. You want to be like, oh, who is this? The next Lenny Bruce? The next?
Yeah, you try to reinvent the art form until you realize just do it really well. Don't reinvent.
Yeah.
But anyway, you try to be different. It's okay. And then I moved to the cover booth, and then I could watch during the shows. You had to work from it was an illegal amount of pay. The door shift was $25. Start at 8 o'clock, end at 2:15. Yeah, no breaks.
Were you working a day job then?
I was. I worked at the Health Network. They offered me a full-time job, and I said, "Can I take off if I get a comedy gig?" And they go, "No, you get 2 weeks of leave a year, and that's it." And I was like, "Fuck, all right, I can't take this job then." And I was just poor. I made in 3 years. I made 11 grand, 13 grand, and then 9 grand, and just try to survive on that. But you manage. You know, McDonald's helped.
Sure. But at the same time, you're seeing comics that are coming in that are making more than that a night.
Yeah.
You know, you're around those kind of people.
That was frustrating, especially when your friends started to get passed.
Yeah.
So you start doing just one night of open mic at the Comedy Store. It was Sunday night. You did 3 minutes. And my whole week would revolve around that. So all the open mics I would do the whole week, and I was like, because the Comedy Store was the only one that had real audience members. Everyone else, we call them real people. Everyone else just had like comedians you're performing for. So you perfect a joke, throw it out on Sunday, and then you're done. Now perfect another joke, throw it out on Sunday, and you're done. And then you see your friends start to get passed as paid regulars. Now they can go on Tuesdays and Thursdays and Saturdays and like the big show. You know, they're on after like legit comics. And it was so frustrating. She worked me like longer than anybody. It was I showcased for her 37 times. It was Gary Shanley, she worked a long time, and Freddie Soto, she worked a long time, and then it was me. And she just had this thing in her head where she's like, I'm just gonna fuck with this kid, and just I don't know. I mean, it made me almost quit a lot.
Yeah, why'd you take it, man? It's not like you. It's not like your personality.
No, it's not. But what can I do? Scream at her? You can't tell anybody you're talented. They just have to recognize it. You can't say I'm good. I've seen people do it. It looks so lame. You just have to be good. And then if they see you, fine. If not, also fine. But like, one time she was like, I killed on a night. Killed. And she was talking to Miles Jobrani, who got passed, I think my first week that I was there. And this was my 18th showcase. And I was like, hey, Mitz, I would have to drive her home, waiting for her to say you're passed, and she just wouldn't. She would tell me about the other people that were good. She knew what she was doing. She was a fucking cunt, man. God. She fired me tons of times. She was like, you're too tall. I was seating people. I was a door guy. So I was like, hey, right here, you're too tall. You're fired. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, you're blocking people. You're fired. I'm like, can I just crouch down? Okay. I'm like, all right. She would be like, there's no table there. I can't see. Move that table away. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. And I move the table away. She's like, why is there no table there? Like, you told me to move it. Put it back. And then I see her laughing sometimes. And she was just fucking with me, man. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why it took. You had to. That was the only path in. It was one lady. And the other, it wasn't like here where there's lots of clubs. There was one club. The Laugh Factory only had professionals. Improv only had professionals and some bringer shows. That was the only place where you get to develop as a comedian, would try shit. And so, so that night at Mosh, she was like, I was like, hey, Mitzi, you ready to go? She was, you were great, kiddo. I'm like, really? She goes, yeah. I'm like, wow. She goes, you're almost ready. And then a year and a half later, I guess, another 18 showcases, I guess I was ready. One time she was like, you're a non-paid regular. That means you go up in the belly room. And I was like, you already made me a non-paid regular. She's like, oh, wow. Kudos.
Kudos.
Yeah, she was like, you're not getting passed any higher. Man, it was so fucking frustrating. One by one, all my friends would get passed, and I'd see them on the lineups. So it really helped me, accept the non-competitiveness to where it wasn't like, so there was showcase nights on Sunday night. She would come in and she would look at like the last 5 or 6 employees, and then she'd have a showcase list of people that were recommended. And I used to think, like, why are they getting passed, not me? And then after, dozens of them, you get to this place where it's not them or me. It's just me or not me. So then it was like, congratulations, man. You got in. I'm so happy for you. I was able to free myself from that competitive sort of thing. You know, where you're like, you must have had that in radio.
Well,
where it was
you can always, the thing is, you always find somebody doing better. In your case, everybody was doing better, but still... it's the same kind of frustration before you say to yourself, this is what I do. You know what I mean? I don't do it for any other reason other than I do this.
Yeah, it's not for. I try to convince people and make people understand. Like my mom, I was working the phones and she was talking to me on the phones once, and we had to get there at 9. Nobody called till 11. I would come in, I would put the phone on the floor and like sleep next to it. And if anybody rang, I'd pick it up. But like until 11, no like higher ups were there, so you could like it was no point. Anyway, my mom called like 10, 1 o'clock her time, and she's like, "So what are you doing there?" And I was like, "I'm trying to get made to pay regular." She goes, "And then how much do you get paid?" I'm like, "Well, then the spots are $15." She goes, "Oh, Ari, you can't live on $15." I was like, "No, yeah, I know that."
Yeah,
they just call it paid regular, but it's not about the money. It's never about the money. People don't understand that. Whenever I have negotiations with like networks and stuff, they just don't understand it. Like we're negotiating on different terms. It's like Palestine and Israel, and people go like, "What? Well, it'll never be peace." I heard an old prime minister say it. It goes, "Here's the problem. Americans are used to dealing with like, okay, if you invade, we'll give you a certain amount of land, and then we'll call a peace treaty. But they're operating on God told us to kill you. So there's no like compromise with that. You can't be like, all right, we'll kill some of you. That'll be God's okay." It's just like the joy of doing it is the thing. And then if you can manage to get paid, fucking all the better. But like, yeah, in my deepest depression, I had like days of just like, I'll just keep doing comedy till the money runs out, and then I'll just, I'll eat one.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'll just finish it off. I'm like, this is great. And when I have no money to live, I'll just not live.
You could be the second person who tried to dive out of the Hyatt house on top of the comedy store.
Exactly. That guy jumped off the fucking Hyatt, tried to hit the comedy store, and didn't even get close.
But
it's like wind resistance. It takes you straight down after a while.
But what's really kind of weird is like the relationship that you had with Mitzi. Like if I meet someone now that was with, I don't know, Bill Graham in the 1960s, I'm like,
San
fuck,
Francisco? Yeah.
What a fucking interesting life you've had,
Yeah.
Those things suddenly.
She let me in for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. She had a runner who would drive her around, and then one time the runner wasn't there, and I was like, I can drive you if you want. And then she was like, okay. And she just kind of let me in. It was just interesting to hear her stories. I would see comics lie to her. Like I'd be in the comedy store van driving her home, and she'd roll down the window, and like one by one they come up and like say their piece. And then as we start driving, she goes, he was lying. And I was like, you must deal with that a lot, huh? Comedians especially? And she goes, yeah, of course. I'm like, do you punish them? I goes, no, it's who they are. They're liars.
Yeah.
She was like, you just know that they're capable of it, so you don't trust them as much. She would say crazy shit, too. One time I had to drive her, and it was a Saturday night, and I had to convince her to come in on Sunday once, and she started getting real sick. She wouldn't come in. The showcase list with the same people would come every Sunday for like 6 months waiting for her to come in. I was like, Mitzi, just come in. She goes, I don't feel like it. I'm like, just come in, ruin some people's dreams. It'll make you feel better. She's like, you're right. I would sit behind her, and she would like have this list of all the comedians showcasing, and she would cross them out when she was like, no. And I would sit behind her, like stand behind her, and like look over her shoulder. She crossed somebody's name out in 12 seconds once. Yeah, I was like, how can you tell in 12 seconds? I get it now, though. She absolutely can. Like, this guy's he's not a professional. Yeah. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's too young.
But do you think she had that good of an eye? I mean,
she's seen enough comedy.
Yeah.
And every time she told me to stop doing open mics, I was like, where the fuck else am I supposed to perform? I get up here 3 minutes a week. And she was like, stop yelling at me. We had a weird relationship, man. It really was. But then I was like, you know what? She was right about not being hyper. I was hyping myself up. I was like, oh, you got to hype the crowd up, Mitzi, because you're only hyping yourself up. Nobody cares. Write jokes.
Have you seen this I'm Dying Up Here that's supposed to
I haven't. I'm too scared of it.
Yeah.
Whenever there's like stuff that Judd Apatow movie about comedy too, it was like, it's just going to make me mad. I know they're going to do it a little wrong. Like, Anya Marina? You ever meet her? Her father's a jazz musician. She said he hated Whiplash because that movie, which I loved. And she said her father was like, there's no jazz competitions. That doesn't matter. But he's too deep in. Right. I think I'll hate this.
Yeah.
The book was great, but I think I'll hate it, so I'm just too afraid. It's because I saw a preview and somebody's like, you know what? Forget the script. I'm going off the script. And it's like, you're going to bomb, idiot. Do what you wrote, moron. Yeah, she would let me in. She would say things. One time I had to pick her up, and it was this might get me in trouble, but she said, It wasn't me saying it. She goes, why can't Marcus? Where is he? I'm like, his friend got cheated on. His friend walked in and found his girlfriend cheating on him, like saw it. So he has to be with his friend. She goes, oh, that's terrible. I'm like, yeah, nothing's worse than that. She goes, wow. It'd be worse if it was a black guy. I was like, Mitzi, don't say that. She goes, am I wrong? Like, nah, you ain't wrong. You ain't wrong. Like, if I walked in and saw you fucking my girlfriend or fucking Mike Yard, I'd be like, all right.
There's always been a rumor that Roseanne kind of adapted Mitzi's persona and voice.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. She talked about Roseanne a lot. She sent me a dead rose. Like, what's that mean? She goes, I don't know. She hates me or something. Mitzi was fucking dark, man. She was fucking crazy. She watched Fox News all the time. She talked about comedians. She had just this history about her. It was fun to, like, be at her feet, sort of learn, you know, all the stuff she saw. I meant to keep a journal, like 2 years in. I should keep a journal about, like, what people tell me, what I've seen, and I didn't do it. What a mistake. Now the comedy's back. It would have been such a great fucking thing to put, you know, 18 years of what I've learned. Well,
what did you start to break through? When did it start to happen for you where you found
So she made me a lot better. The struggle made me a lot better. I mean, it was so frustrating. I'd finish off a showcase, you know, B+, saw somebody who was shittier get past, go to the main room that was, like, empty back then because it was a fucking dead club, and just throw chairs, pick them up and just chuck them across, just temper tantrums. The only time I've ever asked for a blowjob was with my girlfriend at the time. I got failed again, and then she was like, you okay? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just sad. I'm like, can I have a blowjob? Please? She's like, yeah, okay. And I was like, all right, that Christian girl. And it was just frustrating, but it was like that made me stronger. Struggle makes you, like, work harder. That's why I say, like, it's harder for female comics to get ahead. It's not because it's like they're inherently not funny. It's because there's so few of them that when I was still getting not made a paid regular to earn $15, I wasn't able to do that. They're at the same level. They're getting put on TV shows and things like that. And then it's like, how are you going to work hard when everything's already going well for you? That's why mostly celebrity comics aren't as funny anymore, because everything's going well. A few like self-motivate,
yeah.
So they're okay. Bill Burr has a hatred of himself, so he'll keep fucking working hard. You know, but it's like, if you're doing well, what's the point? Why would I struggle? Why would I work hard?
But it would be easy enough just to walk in front of people that weren't your fans. You know what I mean? Like,
you could do that for sure.
It's always amazing, and Gaffigan does that.
Yeah,
Gaffigan goes
just
into rooms that people don't care who he is.
Yeah,
and he struggles, and I think that's amazing.
Yeah, to put yourself in the position to struggle is great. So I didn't put myself in that position; she put me in it for me.
Yeah.
But 7 years later, and it's like, oh, now I'm a paid regular. It's like, I'm actually pretty good now. You know, I've worked real hard. I did fucking 10 shows a week. That's a lot. That's not a lot in New York, but that's a lot in L.A.
Sure.
And I worked harder than anybody. Just get up as much as I can. I mortgaged my life. I didn't have any sort of social life. I didn't have a girlfriend. After that one left, it was like, I had a girlfriend for a fucking decade, man. It was all gone. It was all, the whole life was put on hold. So this trip I just took was like the first vacation I've had in 18 years. You know, where it's just like, and I wouldn't think of taking one. It wasn't like I shouldn't do. It was just like, I'm just in this. I'm in this all the time. So that struggle she made me have made me way, way, way stronger.
Well, a lot of people.
And it gave me a work ethic.
Yeah, that this thing that you took this strange was it like 4 months?
About 4 months, yeah.
Yeah, tour. Everybody, because you weren't staying in touch with people.
Yeah, I locked myself out of social media.
Yeah. Duncan Trussell took your apartment, and he said that he goes, I just say because he just got to New York, and he goes, yeah, Ari just gave me his apartment till he comes back. He just takes a big rip off a bong, throws his fucking cell phone in the kitchen drawer, and walks out.
Yeah.
And then he goes like this, I hope he's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And that stayed for 4 months. Like, other people are like, you think Ari's okay? He's not. Then there would be pictures of you. But everybody was very weirded out of.
They're weirded out because you guys are too locked into your fucking normal lives. You got to get out of your comfort zone a little bit.
Yeah. So that's why you did it. You wanted to be.
I want to see the world a little too.
Yeah.
And I know the fucking all this stuff drags me back in. So I changed my password for my email. I just wanted to change that. I just slammed on the keyboard 4 times, and then I cut that and pasted it, and then I made that my Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and Snapchat passwords, and I gave that password to a friend. It was like 38 characters long. And I was like, when I get back, I'll fucking find you and give me the password. And then I couldn't get in there. I couldn't, even if I wanted to, I couldn't access it. So it was fucking great, man. Freedom, dude. Total freedom. Go where the wind takes you. It was fucking great.
I've heard you tell
still be there.
Some of the stories on stage, and discomfort was a big part of it, right? Just not being comfortable at all.
But then it doesn't even matter anymore. It's the same thing with Mitzi, where it's like it's uncomfortable, but then if like I heard Coolio tell this to Jon Stewart once on his old Jon Stewart show. He had a UPN show.
Yeah.
And Jon Stewart was doing Coolio was talking about drive-bys when he was a kid and having to worry about them. And Jon Stewart made like a self-deprecating like talk show host joke, like, I just had to worry about someone taking my lunch money. But Coolio's point was like, yeah, man, but that in a kid's life that operates takes the same place in your brain, like just a negative thing you got to worry about. You know, looking back now as an adult, obviously one's way worse, but to a kid it feels the same level of emotion, like fuck, my life's over, my friend got shot, or fuck, my life's over, this kid took my lunch money. Yeah, once you get to a place of uncomfortable being the norm, it just stops mattering.
Yeah, but
people go, I could never stay in a hostel. I'm like, are you fucking crazy? People live like animals across the world. Could easily do it.
But the thing is, you know what it's like to be comfortable, and you know what it's like to be dry when it rains.
Nice hotels.
Yeah. So you're like, I've got money. I could go stay at a hotel.
Well, I had a ripcord at any time I wanted.
Yeah.
If this got too bad, I'm like, I can just use my. I have a lot of money now.
Yeah.
Like, it's great. I could just, especially for the way I live, I could just go get a flight home whenever I want. I could just be like, I'm done. I'm out.
Right.
And I'd be fine.
Well, one of the theories was that you were doing it for material, that it was going to be for your show.
No.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't mind the material that came out of it.
Right.
But I just wanted to see the world, and I just had to finish off my responsibilities.
And where were you exactly? Where are the places you went?
Southeast Asia. I went Myanmar, Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, back to Cambodia to go to Indonesia, went through Indonesia, East Timor, then back to Indonesia for a couple days, then home.
You know, the weird thing is Tom Rhodes has played one-nighters in every one of those
places. Yeah. No comedy at all. I went to one show in Phnom Penh.
Yeah.
They were like, do you want to go up? And I was like, nah, no, thanks. Because I was like, I wanted to see what a long break would do to me. And also, like, if I bombed and and then had to put that on my shoulders for the next 2 months, fuck that. I'm not walking around with a bomb. I did well my last few sets. I can leave going like I'm a good comic. I don't want to fucking go like, what do you do? When people ask me, I'm like, I don't even know anymore. Yeah, it was cool. What I did find, a few things I found, on my walkabout to find myself. I just want to see the world. That's normal. That's a normal non-American thing, just to see things. But when people would ask, like, what do you do back home, or would you leave? I would ask people, too, like, how'd you get out? People would travel for 3 months to 2 years. I was like, how'd you get out of it? I would always be interested in that. Like, how'd you get out of work? How'd you save up money? And also, like, how'd you quit? I was waiting for someone to say, like, just didn't show up, just left. I didn't hear any of that. But they would ask me what I did. And first I would be like, I wouldn't want to tell them, because a very American thing I found is the first thing to talk about yourself was how you make money, which is like that's not who you are. You know, you're like, I like boating, or I like going hiking. That's who you are. My job's a little different because it is who I am. But like, so people are like, what do you do in New York? And I was like, walk around, hang out with friends, get high. It's usually just a conversation starter. So I would just like treat it as that and start a conversation. But if they press like, but what do you do for money? And I'm like, I'm a stand-up comedian. And I mean, across the board, it was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
What do you mean? I was like, I tell jokes like, and you make a living at that? And I was like, yeah, man. They're like, wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I was like, a little bit. I'm like, no, I never heard anything like that. I'm like, what'd you do? I'm like, I don't know. I fucking tied knots on a tugboat. It's a fucking shitbox job. I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's a pretty cool job. Like, yeah, it is. It's a pretty fucking cool life I've gotten for myself, where I'm completely free. I do what I want. I pour piss on anybody's face I want to. No.
You know, when we were talking about just taking off like that, you know who does that? Fucking Australians.
They do.
They're everywhere.
You see them in the crowd, like, what do you do? I'm like, I'm on holiday.
Yeah.
I can't do impressions. Fucking
seriously, that was so fucking good. You could be the Joker.
Thanks. But they're like, where are you going? And they're like, New York, then Vegas, Miami, Vegas, then L.A., then Hawaii for a while. I'm like, how long are you going for? Like, a month and a half. They do that like every year. Other countries have a real, they have personal time. In Germany, you get just regular jobs, 25 days of vacation time a year, and you're expected to take it. If you don't take it, you're a fucking moron. You're expected to take it. Plus, you get 2 weeks of sick time also. And if you get sick while you're on vacation, you get those days back. That's counted as sick time.
Yeah.
You get a month and a week of of vacation time, and you're like, yeah, go see shit, go do shit, live your life. Here it's just like get ahead mentality, which I shouldn't talk because I guess that's all I did for fucking 15 years. But like, I really enjoyed it. I guess maybe I should have taken time off. I don't know.
Well, there's this thing even in America is like when you take your vacation, everybody at work makes you feel bad about it.
Oh, yeah. I tell people, like, leave that fucking phone at home. If you're going with your wife or your husband or your boyfriend or girlfriend, leave your phone home, get a burner phone when you get there, and then just be able to converse with each other. People will drag you back in, at least mentally. They'll drag you back in. But I saw this thing in Maui once for the Maui Comedy Festival, and fucking Big J couldn't go because he was like, I'm so poor, I can't afford to give it the spot pay for the week to go get $100 in Maui. A free trip to Maui. I'm like, fuck, man. He's doing better now, but...
Yeah, he's doing a lot better.
Yeah. But I saw some husband walking, like, fast, and the wife and with the kids was behind him. And I remember him, like, turning around, like, angry, like, come on! We're late! And I was like, dude, you're there already.
Yeah, right.
You're in paradise.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you miss your snorkeling trip, bro. You're fucking there. The beach is... Look right. The beach is right there. And this mentality of like, go, go, go. And I got to an island in Cambodia, Koh Rong, and I got a book, and I just read, and I had this feeling like, what should I be doing? What should I be doing? And then after like a day of nothing, it's like, oh, nothing. I'm doing it. Just fucking relax. Go get a beer. You're okay. And then just be able to let go of the idea. I mean, it's harder in New York than anywhere.
Right.
Of just fucking be. Just be.
But this is the thing that weirded me out with you. So you come back from this thing.
Yeah.
And then you announce that you're doing 2 Netflix specials. It seems like that's the stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that should be. But.
Thanks, guys.
But that's pretty crazy that while you're doing this, I'm not going to do anything here. You announced this fucking giant.
Well, I recorded in November.
Yeah.
Edited for video before I left, and then it was like I wasn't done with sound, but the editing took longer than I thought. And then I was like, I gotta go to my other guy editing with me, Eric Abrams, the guy who directed it. And he was like, don't go finish it. I'm like, I'm not gonna. No, I'm done. I'm leaving. I just want. Everything's gonna drag you back in. I had a chunk of time, and I'm like, you're taking it out of this time. And if I don't leave now, I'm gonna start missing stuff on the back end. And so then I left, and I came back, and I convinced the people at Netflix to be like, yeah, I was like, dude, I'm thinking on a different kind of level now. I'm using my English background, my English degree background, just my time at Edinburgh to think about stuff in a different way. I don't know. I was like, dude, fucking do it, dude. Fucking do it. And then he was like, yeah, okay, we'll do it. And I was like, yeah, fine, good. So now it's coming out. So that was frustrating too. Going and meeting people like Norwegians and stuff, and like, can I see your stuff on Netflix? And I was like, no.
No.
Like maybe YouTube. Like, oh, blocked in this country. Fuck, no, you can't see it anywhere. And then I'm like, yeah, I just like the idea of the access. I want to go see the rest of the world, man. This will help me.
And now be able to go out and tour it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And take some time off in between shows and fucking see things, and I don't know.
Well, this is the thing. I watched you do a lot of sets over the winter, and you were doing stuff that happened just recently when you were in Cambodia, and these were hilarious stories. But then then the next time you were doing Old Testament stuff, and I'm like thinking now, all right, there's your 2 background. There's these 2 crazy backgrounds.
Yeah, 2 differences.
Yeah,
that's my next hour. That's what I want to do for my next hour. It was all. I went to Edinburgh twice, and that was kind of. My agent hated it. He was like, how much are you going to make? I'm like, I'm actually going to lose $10,000. And he was like, I have to advise you not to do that. I was like, yeah, that's your job. And my job is to say, no, you're wrong. I can grow a lot out of this. So 2 years in a row. So it's all these like Edinburgh-style hours. It's different than American hours. They're theme hours. they're like all about one thing. And it's not as developed as American hours, because here the only people doing an hour a year really on the right level are Burr and CK. And then you have a few people doing it not quite right. I'm not even on an hour. I go a year and a half to 2 years. Mm-hmm. I aim for a year, but I fall short. But like there, they do these weird theme stuff. This one song guy, Steve Bougea, did something about a road trip. A whole hour about this road trip. His girlfriend that he liked in high school was getting married to somebody else, and she was like, "Can you pick up my father and take him?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'll do anything for you," you know. And her father had been in prison for 18 years, and he was picking him up out of prison, and it was the first time he was out in 18 years, and it was all just about this road trip. And it was so like, wow, you can really like, it reminded me of this English degree background, you know, where it's like a kind of a work instead of a collection of, like the Van Halen albums were all just songs.
Yeah.
But then you have a few albums here or there where it's about one thing, and you're like, oh, interesting. So I started getting that in my head. So that was this double special. It was like this. I always have through lines, but like this was like it's different. There was children's stuff and adult stuff, so I separated them that way. So this next hour is all going to be me exercising that fucking Orthodox Jewish background and really like, you know, mocking it or just exploring it comedically on stage. Well, you saw what I do.
Yeah,
it's like,
I thought the amazing thing about it is that you got into Old Testament stuff that I kind of had that thought of, oh, that's a strange story. But the fact that it's been around for thousands of years must mean that there's some power to that myth, whatever it is.
Yep.
You know what I mean, there's some reason that we held on to that one.
the Baha'i faith thinks that they take, because all the religions are different, but what they say is there's similarities between all religions. Mm-hmm. So like, I'm trying to think what's only Jewish. The tassels. You ever see the tassels they use to fucking tie up hostages and stuff? That's an only Jewish thing. But the story of the flood is like across lots of religions.
Yes.
Do not kill is across lots of religions. So they say
Virgin birth shows up.
What?
Virgin birth. Shows up a lot of places.
Yeah. We don't have that one, but like a lot of. So they say if
you missed it, you're right there.
They say if most religions have it, that must have been one of the original words of God, and then as people like time went on, it kind of shifted and changed. But if it's similar between all of them, that must date back to the original word. So they take all the original words and say that's the real religion. I don't have any idea why I brought that up.
Well, you're saying that's where you want this special to go. You want to be able to talk about some of these stories.
So I want to split it up between like the stories, the laws, and just the culture. Yeah. Me growing up in this thing. So I don't know how to do it. I might fail, but I like challenging myself to do shit like that.
And plus no one's ever really done that from your background before.
Yeah, exactly. Where I really know about it. I told this story to Rogan once, on like his like fifth podcast. We're still doing it in his like living room in front of like a laptop that we'd all just jump in together and try to be on. But there's this story about Judaism when you masturbate. There's like Kabbalah stuff, but a demon woman sits on top of you and rides you, and you jizz into her, and then she gets I know it's ridiculous, but she gets pregnant, and then before you go to heaven, you have to meet your fucking demon kids. And so like shit like that.
That
like,
was my fantasy at 13. I feel like this must be a story that's real.
Yeah, but I'll have material about that sort of thing, where it's like this stuff that I took for granted as a kid,
right.
But now that I'm removed from it, I'm like, oh, wait. Like when you realize like your friend's father when you were little, like, oh, he was cheating on his wife. Oh, I get it now. Now that I'm a little more worldly, I see the situation for what it was. So now that I'm away from religion for 20 years, but still have it deep in me, I can see it from an inside and outside perspective.
And again, you have the storytelling knowledge on how to put that together. Right. If you would have attempted that when you first started,
failed.
It wouldn't have worked.
I tried early on. I tried to write a bit about, because I lived in Israel for two and a half years. I tried to write a bit about Palestinians and Jews, and it came out pretty much like this, like, you know, Jews do this, punchline, and then the Palestinians, they're fucking animals. They're all fucking animals. And I'm like, all right, that's not
and only
not
the Jews were laughing. They're like, yes!
Yeah.
It's a fucking great bit.
Yeah, you have to grow to be able to do it right, I guess. Yeah.
Well, with the now, a lot of that came from the fact that you put together these storytelling shows, right?
Yeah,
you think your ability
yeah. We started that 7-8 years ago in the small room of the Improv, and then I challenged just like let's do stories once a month, and I got better at it. I wasn't very good when I started, and now it's like I'm one of the better storytelling comics.
And that's the same way. It just takes years.
Takes years.
Yeah.
No. How do I do that? I don't know. Give it fucking half a life, and then you'll be better at it.
Now, you got this show on Comedy Central, right? You're still producing it, right?
No.
You're not doing anything with it?
No.
Now, this show's a hit, right? The show is good.
Yeah.
So what happened?
My special on Netflix will be out July 18th.
So that's the reason? That's the thing? Because
I could still produce it, but it's not my product. My feeling is you put your name on your own product, and you don't just take the money when you can. You take your money when it's like, this is my name. So I don't put my name on it. So it's not my product anymore.
But that is your show.
It was, yeah, for a while.
And so now you have nothing to do with it at all. You're not.
Yeah.
You walked away from it.
Yeah.
But that was all because of these specials.
It's because of some butthurtness. Yeah. But it was because you will occasionally get pressures to do what's not best for your art form, and you have to learn to say no to those pressures, and just do what you think is best, no matter what, no matter how much it hurts you.
And it does hurt, right?
Dude, I built something from fucking 12 people in the side room of the improv lab. I cultivated a style. I built an aesthetic. I built a thing where you're like, I worked with comedians on their stuff. I got them to be like, have no notes. Every time notes would come in, I'd be like, I'll tell the comic, and they just never tell them.
Because you know the best way to work.
I've been a comic. I know how it works. I know how to like get cameras out of there and away and make it look like a real show. The editing. At first they were like, no, I would want to run something by the comic whose story it was, and I was like, they were like, you can't do that. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, it's precedent. I'm like, what? And then I realized, I can just do it behind their backs. And then that started a thing where I would send all the comedians their stories. I'm like, give me your notes. How do you want your shit edited? And I would say no time limits. I'm like, how long is it going to be on TV? I'm like, don't worry about that. Do the full fucking thing the way it's supposed to be done. And then I'll figure out how to make it look right. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's your baby, you know? Whatever. I can't really, it just sounds bitter when you talk about it. So it's like.
No, here's the thing.
I dated an artist once. She really freed me artistically. The way she talked about her paintings and stuff and what she wants to express and stuff, it made me for the first time think like, I can think about this in terms of an art form. It seems silly to talk about dick jokes and throwing piss in someone's face as an art form, but she freed me up to think of it like that. And so that was 9 years ago, and from then on I really did think of it like that. And so like she said, one of the reasons a lot of artists don't have children is because people have children so they can leave a part of themselves to the world. And artists already have that. They are leaving something to the world. Their painting or their specials or whatever it is. Like they've already reproduced almost. So you do these things and they do become your children. You know? And it's like, I don't know, man. I'm not going to, whatever, fuck. It's just all butthurtedness. It's real shit.
Yeah.
I threw a glass of water in a comedian's face, this female comedian stage, at the Comedy Store because I was fucking butthurt. I understand it's like a real thing. But like, nonetheless, I would never have stopped doing that show.
Now, did it occur to you, hey, I won't go to Netflix with these specials, I'll just hand them over to somebody else? Or
when the pressure came in, it was like, it would have been, no, at that point it would have been, okay, I'll say no to Netflix, but I'll never give you my special. I'll film myself on sitting on a car hood for 45 minutes and saying, here it is, run that. I would never,
So it got pretty angry between you guys, or did it just end quickly?
No, it got pretty angry. They said they would put... Here's the problem. So I'm an observer of the rest of what happens in comedy. Mm-hmm. This situation, people leaving a project, it's not unique. It's happened. And when people talk about it themselves, it only comes off as bitter. So there's no way to say it without seeming like an angry You know what I mean?
Sure, I get that completely.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I get the fact that when somebody creates something, that they're the ones that knows how it's supposed to run.
Yeah. They talk about loyalty, and I'm like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? You offered me to do a show for you, and I gave you a fucking great show. I overproduced. I overdelivered. So what the fuck? Keep doing it. Like, who cares? So I'm putting it's a double special. It doesn't fit on fucking HBO. It fits on a digital platform. That's what I mean. It's the right place for the art form. Maybe the next one would fit on linear television, but this one doesn't. So, like, what are you upset about? Just let it go. And then they fucking whatever.
Well, I think what gets to me is that most people have that defining moment in their life and they blink, right?
Yeah.
That's what we do, most of us. And you decided not to.
I was poor for too long, man.
Yeah.
They made a monster. Mitzi made a monster.
Yeah.
I can be poor again. You guys have no idea how I lived in fucking Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
On the beds I slept in, the disgusting environments, the squat shits I took constantly, wiping with your hand. It's not, I can live like you can't believe how I can live. So yeah, you want to blink, and then you step back and you go, these are the prices that I'm gonna pay. These things, and it sucks, but it's just like that's just part of it. You want to be free. You want to be free. That you have to get fucked over once in a while. It's okay. It's okay. It's part of it.
Do you feel free because of this experience?
I am completely free.
Yeah.
The only thing that doesn't set you free is when you have like things pulling at you. So like Chris Rock would talk about, no. Patrice was talking about Chris Rock and Tracy Morgan, where you owe people. So I don't know anybody. It's just myself. I can walk away from anything. I $13,000 was the most I made one year. Was like, wow, I'm living in it now. I got 13 grand instead of 11. I don't have big tastes. I don't need to buy nice cars. I don't have taste for any of that. Joe's Pizza's pretty good. You know, I don't need steak. It's okay. It's hard. So this part, it wasn't the money that I'm walking away from. That part was like nothing. I don't blink at all on that. It was the pressure from my other people that I'm working with, who I'm putting them out of work. That's the only hard part. Where they were like, that was the pressure. They're like, you'll put your crew out of work in 2 weeks out, and good luck having them pay their rent. And then it's like, well, I'm not ready for that. So how do I handle that? So now I know. So the way I handled it was I had to walk away. That they forced me to walk away. But like now I know that I can't allow that pressure in anymore. You know,
sure.
I pushed away the money pressure. That's fine. I'll only do what's best for the art form. I pushed away everything else. But the pressure of people counting on me. I talked to Chris Hardwick once. He was going to Vancouver to play some show. I was like, why don't you go to Whistler afterwards and go skiing? You know, and I know he skis. He's a rich guy. And he was like, I can't. I'm like, why? He goes, I got work. I'm like, yeah, but you're the work. You're fucking Nerdist. That's you. And he goes, yeah, but if I take a week off, 54 people take a week off.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you put yourself back in prison, man.
That's what happened, by the way, to Jerry Garcia, because everybody was paid well, like this giant thing, and everybody was getting $100,000. And here's this hippie thing that turned into him working for a corporation.
Non-stop, yeah.
And
if I want to do a roast battle and give 3 weeks of my life to work on jokes for 3 weeks for $0 because it's a funny thing to do, then I want to be able to do that instead of saying, well, I got to do this fucking job. So now, from now on, now that I'm free of that pressure, every time I work with somebody, I'll have to let them know, like, listen, I'm kind of an asshole. So you're not going to understand.
Don't even say kind
of. Right. So you're not going to understand, but at some point, I'm going to have to just leave something, and it's not going to make sense to you. But if you want to work with me, you're going to have to know that that's a possibility. And I'll make you money in the meantime, but it might come to that.
I think it's amazing. I think very few people do that. And I think this is...
Yeah. It's just there is a price sometimes, and that price fucking sucks. You're like, come on, don't make me pay. But you have to.
Well, you know, Frankenstein had his monster, and this is Mitzi's monster, everybody.
Yeah, it is.
Ari Shaffir. Thanks, bro. That was fucking great.